The Spines tab here lets us add different kinds of spine structure to our character rigs. The default, of course, is spine, but as you can see, there are many other possible parts that are represented by more or less the same rig structure. Functionally, all of these parts are the same and share the same different control choice methods. All that really differs in any meaningful sense are the names, which of course makes it more convenient since the parts will be set up with the appropriate name. We'll just stick with the default spine here and look at the other options. Vertebrae is the number of joints or links in the spine chain that you wish to create. It can be any number. Handle control points defines the number of handles that will be created to control the spine. Using handles is one of the control options that is available. For instance, maybe you are making a tail on a very long-tailed creature. Maybe you want to add 5 or 10 or 30 joints or vertebrae to it. You might not wish to animate so many items on FK, and you might just want perhaps a singular item that lets you control the entire spine from one controller. This would be the handle. You can add as many handles as you want, at least up to or equal the number of vertebrae that are in the spine, and these handle controls will divide across. So for instance, if you created a spine with 9 vertebrae and 3 handle controllers, then the first handle would operate the first 3 spine joints, second one would operate the next 3, and the third one would operate the last 3. One of the other control options available for spines is to use a spline controller, and the spline CP setting gives you the number of spline control points or control nulls that will be used to define the spline that the spine is fitted along. 3 is the minimum number here, as 2 would give you not a spline but a line, and 1 would give you no spline at all. Otherwise, you can have as many spline control points as you like. So we'll just leave that at the default of 3, and we will add a spine here to the main root. And we can see that there is our spine. We've got all 9 joints marked out, which we can position into our character mesh as we see fit. And notice that the tip of a spine here, or the last joint, has this tip under it, which you can use to mark out the end position of the spine. Notice that, of course, you can put that side to side by rotating the previous or the penultimate spine joint. You don't move this side to side so much, although you can do it either way. These boxes that appear represent the positions where the handle controls will go, so you can position those appropriately. And when we fit, there is our spine appeared with all of the joints as we have laid them out. And of course, by default, the spine comes in under FK control and can just be posed thusly. If we click Edit Part, we can see that we have various different options here. FK, which is the default. There is an IK method. There is the handles, and there is the spline control method. One thing to notice about the tip marker for your spine here is that when the spine has a child, so let's say that the spine has a neck for a child, and let's just say it were a 2-bone neck and only had 1 handle. Let us add that, and we will make it a child of the last spine joint here, the spine 1-9. Notice that the tip marker for our initial spine there has gone away, and that the spine joint, the last spine bone, is now orienting to this part here. It's as if the root item for the neck, or whatever part we had placed as the immediate child of the spine, has become its tip, if you will. And so you see that when we rig fit, there is our last spine joint. The reason it's important to take note of this, and I will just add another quick little spine here, is because it somewhat determines the order which you have to add things. Notice here, of course, we've got a spine, I added a neck, and that's all proceeding as it should do. This last spine bone will go towards its first child. So if I were building, say, a standard character that has a spine, arms, neck, head, I would want to add the neck or the head first. Because notice if I add a pair of arms here, and these arms may well be the child of the last spine joint, so the spine 2-3 in this case, then notice, of course, what has happened. The last spine bone is orienting to point towards that arm, because in this case the left arm is its first child. And we can see that we have this result, which is quite wrong. And to illustrate this, I'll just add on another neck to our spine here, so to the spine 2-3 like this. That should be the neck, which of course our last spine bone is not orienting towards. We can fix this manually. We just come into our scene editor here. We see that we have the left arm 1 root item, the right arm 1, and of course the neck there. We can just move the neck up in the list there, so it is now the first child. And you will see that when we switch in and out of rig fit a couple of times, the spine realigns itself to point to its first child.